What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is JT. This is JT's Gaming Mayhem. What do we got going on in this video today? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my top 15 games of 2025 for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a different discussion instead of me just, counting up and just saying, oh yeah, here's, game number 15, which, as you can see on your screen right now, is Star Wars Outlaws. I'm going to be kind of like diving in a little bit deeper and just giving, some of my overall general thoughts about the console and talking to you guys more so about the experience I've been having, how I've been feeling about the first 6 months in general about the Switch 2. I'm not really going to do like a letter grade or like a number grade, but for those of you who want a spoiler, I'm feeling pretty positive about the Switch 2 and like where it's at right now, like the games that are available, and the future of the console as a whole. There's been a lot of talk online about people wanting to write the console off from day one, it seems like, and I was never one of those people because for the last 8 years I was a gamer on the OG Switch all the way through. I didn't own another console. I had a PS4 for a little bit. I had a PS4 from pretty much 2015 until Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and after Kingdom Hearts 3 I was kind of done with the PS4. And we can blame Kingdom Hearts 3 for that. I mean, I had it for a little bit after the pandemic year as well, but my little brother got more use out of the console at the time, and now he's entirely like Switch 2 and PC. So can't really say that I have PS5 experience. I had roommates at the time, and one of the roommates had a PS5, and I played Ratchet and Clank, and that was about it. I didn't really like play anything else on the PS5. Like, I dabbled in some things here and there, and of course, like when Street Fighter 6 originally came out for PS5, I played that there. I played Tekken 8 for a little bit, but nothing too major. So I really wasn't able to jump into what we would call the current generation of gaming until the Switch 2 came out. And at the time, like, I got to be honest with you guys, I hit record on this video probably like 7 times, which is why it's coming out after the new year and instead of, before the new year set in. And I just wasn't like feeling like going through like a list of saying like, oh yeah, here's, my top 15 games, just 15, 14, 13, etc. And now I'm sicker than a Lil Wayne verse in 2008. So what you see is what you get. And we're just going to have this discussion and talk about the Switch 2 overall. Of course, I'll give the breakdown of why my top 15 games are my top 15 games. Some improvements I'd like to see, of course, going into, I would say it's probably going to be a 10-year generation. The Switch 1 was 8 years. I could very much see the Switch 2 lasting 8, if not 10 years, just based on where everything is at as far as like RAM shortages and prices and of course game development. And I feel like that kind of like plays into an advantage for Nintendo, because let's just go ahead and talk about that first. Price. The console is priced at $450. If you can still find yourself a Pokemon Legends ZA or Mario Kart World bundle right now, which I don't think the ZA bundle's coming back. I do think the Mario Kart World bundle will be back for, the holiday this coming year, which we'll talk about that, of course, probably in October or November. But yeah, I don't think the Pokemon Legends ZA bundle is necessarily going to come back. I could see a situation where we're expecting Pokemon Generation 10 to get announced here in about a month and a half. I could see a situation where maybe in the holiday season they do a Pokemon Generation 10 bundle. Maybe they do an Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch 2 edition bundle. Who knows? But the bundle price was at $500. That got you the console and a game. The game either being $30 off or $20 off, depending on what game you decided to roll with. Whether it be Mario Kart World, which is an $80 game, or Pokemon Legends ZA, which is a $70 game on the Switch 2. Do I feel like Mario Kart World is worth $80? it depends on a lot of things, because here's how my brain works as far as experience-based pricing. If I'm paying for an experience, like let's say I go to the movies, movie ticket, 15-20 bucks depending on the show, the time, things like that. Let's just, for the sake of math and pricing, let's just say, because the last movie I went to go see was Superman. I paid like $19 and some change for my movie ticket. I get there, I'm like, okay, well, now I want some snacks. Of course, you're always going to pay more for snacks when you go see a movie than, let's say, watching a movie at your house, going to the grocery store, going to the treat aisle or whatever type of snacks you get. And those snacks at the grocery store might be $1, $2. Those snacks at the movie theater, probably $5 for a box of Crunch and Bunch. And yeah, I can safely say that I did buy a box of Bunch of Crunch, whatever it's called, when I went to go see Superman. And other snacks as well. I remember my movie ticket coming out to being about $60. And that was just for the experience, because I, got my ticket, I got some food, things like that. And I'm like, wow, I really just, spent all this money to go see this movie that, yeah, am I going to watch it again? Probably not. I love that movie, by the way. I thought Superman, the James Gunn version, was so good. Definitely recommend it. And here's what I'll have to say about Mario Kart World in that same, sense. Because I didn't spend $80 on the game. I got the bundle at the launch of the Switch 2. So I got Switch 2 console, Mario Kart World, and I got Mario Kart World for $50. Would I have paid $80 for it? Yeah, I believe I would have paid $80 for it, to be completely honest, because it's a new Mario Kart experience. And I look at the amount of time that I've pumped into the game and the joy that the game has brought me already, having that experience with friends, either in person or online. And one of the last hangouts I had, we sat and played Mario Kart for 2 hours. And that was one of the only games we played because a lot of my friends are, very casual gamers. They're not, going in the weeds playing game number 14, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, where they, see Mario Kart, they know Mario Kart, even if they haven't played one since either the Wii, which I had a couple friends who were like, oh man, I haven't played Mario Kart since the Wii and the DS days. And they jumped in and they were amazed by it. And then, we just had so much fun. And in settings like that, or even online with friends as well, I still will jump online with people and play Knockout Tour from time to time. And I'm still having a blast, even though they, haven't really added any new content. They've updated it a couple of times, but there aren't any new tracks, any new characters. But it's that experience of when I'm in the game, how I'm feeling in that moment versus, how I felt or how I would have felt spending $80 at the time, where I've already pumped, over 80 hours into the game so far, just by being able to go online, play with people, or play in person. And if I'm looking at it from a dollar standpoint, if I pay $1 per hour for experience, I feel kind of justified, to be completely honest with you. And I feel justified in the $450 price tag of the console as well, because the Switch OLED, which I had the Legend of Zelda Edition OLED, it was $360, I want to say. And with that being my primary gaming device for the last, for the Switch generation in general, since 2017, because I had the OG as well, from 2017 until 2025, only being, a Switch 1 gamer and now a Switch 2 gamer, I feel my $360 spent on Switch OLED was justified. And I already feel that way about the Switch 2 because, game number 13, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I've been able to pump a lot of hours already into this console. I travel at times, and, what's in my bag is usually my Mac, my camera, and my Switch. And still now, like my Mac, my camera, my Switch 2 come with me. And even on like, a flight, like a 2-hour, 3-hour flight, I can jump into an RPG or some style of game of that caliber and just like go at it and play. I'm known for taking my Switch with me to the gym and playing on the treadmill. Experiences like that is why I keep coming back to this console and why I have like so much like fun with it, and why I feel, $450 for the price of the console based on my usage is worth it. Based on, the amount of time I spend in these games and these worlds is worth it. Some of the older ports like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I know it came out at 60. I want to say when it came out on PlayStation and Xbox, it might have been 70. Who knows? I paid attention to it a little bit on those consoles, but I know games usually target $70, $69.99. I know it's way cheaper on those consoles now, and it's been on sale on Switch a couple of times since coming out. But I would say, if you are a person who shops the deals and doesn't need games day one, a lot of times, definitely shop the deals. They're out there. NBA 2K26, not on this list, but you can get for under $30 for the Switch 2 right now. And if that's a good enough experience for you, if you want that handheld experience, I would say it's definitely worth it for you. I don't think the console's overpriced is basically like what I'm getting at. I feel things are, fairly priced for what they are. And if you feel like it's overpriced, see if you can get on the secondhand market. Nobody's going to stop you from doing that. Or wait for a price drop if that ever happens. I'm not going to be that person who predicts a price increase, because I don't want to speak that stuff into existence. I want more people to be able to enjoy games and play games and, have a ton of fun with gaming devices and, find it affordable for them. Like if a price goes up, that's not good for anybody. That's just, limiting the amount of people that can jump into this hobby. So yeah, I find it like real weird when I like watch a YouTube video and somebody's like, oh yeah, I'm expecting a price increase. Expect the unexpected, MFer. It's what I gotta say. Expect prices to not increase and for companies to eat the cost and hold strong. We want more people to play these games. We don't want, prices to be a way where people will say, no, I'm not going to jump into that, because I feel like at $450 right now, jump in, you get you a couple of games. Street Fighter 6, number 12 on the list. It's usually on sale for like $20, even on Switch 2. Get you that, get you, what's another like cool cheating game. I mean, Tomb Raider is under $20, so if you like action games and you want, to see Lara Croft take out way too many hordes of bad guys, that's $40. So for $490, that puts you at a good multiplayer game at Street Fighter 6 and a good single player game at Tomb Raider the Definitive Edition. And then if you want a Nintendo first party game as well, you got a ton of options to choose from. That'll get you, at a pretty low bar of under $600 for a new device, which I think is a fairly good deal, to be completely honest with you. Let's talk about some of the, other like more positive things that I really enjoy about the console, and that being one, the Pro Controller, which I'm not gonna like have on screen here because go to Best Buy, go to Target, and go demo these Pro Controllers. Hopefully they're not gross and a bunch of people have put their sticky, grimy fingers all over them, and hopefully the store workers are keeping those areas clean for people to check out. But honestly, and this is something that we're actually going to talk about on the podcast Monday Night Mayhem, is did the Xbox 360 kind of make gaming controllers more boring because everything is kind of modeled after the Xbox 360 controller at this point? But boy howdy, the Switch 2 Pro controller is the most comfortable controller I've felt in a very long time. I just wish it had analog triggers. That's my only big complaint from it, because I do like racing games, and while I'm interested in a game like Gear Club 3 that's going to be coming out here pretty soon, I really want to be able to play that game with analog triggers. I know there's options for other controllers to be used on Switch that do, support analog. But I want that in a Nintendo official controller. So if they do like a revamp of the Pro controller and say, hey, like here's some analog triggers, I'd pay $10 more for that. I think that'd be a pretty good trade-off, to be able to comfortably play a lot of racing games and have like that dynamic feel when it comes to the triggers, or even, shooters that are going to be coming out as well. I know Call of Duty is, about to potentially come out. It's got to come out at some point. They are in that legally binding agreement to bring Call of Duty to the Switch. So at some point they got to do something, and I know a lot of people want those realistic, button feels, and I think a lot of people play it on Switch just regardless because they want to see how that version, works. I'm one of those people as well, where I'm like, I got to see how this thing holds up. So I'm very curious to, know what we're gonna get. But I really love the Switch 2 Pro controller. I love the Amiibo functionality, how they continue to, bring that back and expand on that within every, generation that we've gotten since, what was that? The Wii U is when Amiibos, the Wii U and 3DS Amiibo started to come out. And I remember originally that the Wii U gamepad had an NFC reader. And now it's just, in the middle of the controller here. And it's really intuitive, really snappy, really fun. And the controller just it's not heavy. Like, it feels so good and comfortable in your hand. Where I'm playing a game and sometimes I don't even realize, the thing that I'm holding to play the game because I'm just in a state of comfort. I don't know, it's weird. Like you know it if you hold one. You could probably agree that this is one of the best feeling controllers of all time. And there could be some recency bias as well, but I don't think the Xbox 360 necessarily made controllers more boring. I think it just, everything that came after the 360 just expanded on the look and feel of ultimately one of the greatest controllers in gaming. Like my 1A and 1B are the 360 and the GameCube controller. And I know the GameCube controller can be weird for a lot of people, but for its time and for what it did in Smash Brothers, it's honestly the best controller, one of the best controllers that we've ever had. And I can comfortably say the Switch 2 controller is at the end of its life cycle. Hopefully, and I still have all my Switch 1 Pro controllers, and at times I'll, if I'm out of battery on my Switch 2 Pro controller, I'll just have to pick one of those up and play with one of those, and I'm like, I think I'd rather just wait at this point, even though I have some special edition ones that are cool to play. But the Switch 2 Pro controller just feels so good and so comfortable, and yeah, you can't really beat it at this point. I haven't really messed around with. I've played with a PS5 and played on that controller, but it's not something that I hold every day to compare. So, same with the Xbox Series. I had one of those for a little bit as well, but it's not something that I use every day to compare. And I'm pretty sure those controllers, if you have long-term use out of them, they're great. But I don't know, man. Wait until you put a Switch 2 Pro controller in your hand. You will definitely feel otherworldly. Oh yeah, game number 11 was Mario Kart, by the way. Yeah, I don't need to say much more about that. It's Mario Kart. But I do want to talk about this game on the screen a little bit. Wild Hearts S, which is game number 10 for me. Honestly, if you like Monster Hunting games, you need to check this one out. It's available on the eShop. I don't know if it has a physical release or not, because I'll be honest with you, that's another thing that I guess we can kind of talk about while we're talking about Wild Hearts S as well. I could care less about game key cards, to be completely honest with you. I started going all digital back in 2020 during the pandemic year, and I probably have like 5 or 6 physical games at this point. And the only reason I have those is because they were like on such good of a deal that it was very hard to pass up. And then I have Ring Fit Adventure, which Ring Fit Adventure is only available as a physical game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a physical version of Wild Hearts S, but either way, it is a game you should have on your radar if you like Monster Hunter. And if you've been disappointed with Monster Hunter Wilds, which I know a lot of people have been just because of like the performance issues and kind of like some of the updates and stuff like that. But Wild Hearts S actually really shocked me, because when it originally came out on PlayStation and Xbox, everybody kind of wrote it off as being Monster Hunter meets Fortnite, and it's so much more than that. Of course, like there is a building mechanic in game, but the building mechanic is so different from what you do in Fortnite. Yeah, you're building towers and things, but you're building these things on the fly to kind of like help you, strategize and beat monsters. So it gives you like a different type of advantage when you are actually playing the game. And I know I've made a couple of videos about this as well, and for the people that have checked out those videos, thank you. And for the people checking out me, talk about it a little bit here, I do think this is one of the best games that the Switch 2 has right now. And it sucks because it's not one of those games that a lot of people are going to, look at and jump into. They're kind of going to like glance over and be like, well, what's that? I've never heard of Wild Hearts. And they'll see it and they'll say, oh, it's just a Monster Hunter ripoff. And so many people just will glance over it because it doesn't have Monster Hunter in the title. Do not skip over this game. This game is a solid 8 out of 10, to be completely honest with you. It is one of those games that you can jump into and you can play for hours with friends online, or just, make new friends in the midst of it and play with them as well. And the way that you hunt these monsters, and of course, like, you don't have a huge weapon selection like Monster Hunter does, but the weapons that you get feel so fun and fluid to play. Like, oh my gosh. You got to give it up for number 10. And real quick, if you made it this far in the video, you might as well go ahead and give your boy a like, thumbs up, sub to the channel. Do all the things that YouTubers say that you need to do. Help your boy out. I'm trying to grow, especially in the year 2026 as more games come out. I do want to get more consistent with my content making. So I can only do that if you guys show up and support. YouTube is very hard to, I would say, gain a following on. Any social media is at this point, but help your boy out. Like, we're here for the energy, and I want to talk to you guys about more games that I played throughout the year, and of course eventually get to doing like actual reviews and not just impressions and not just the podcast. But number 9 is Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. I have been told to play the Yakuza series for such a long time, and then I finally played Kiwami when it came out on Switch last year. Not last year, 2024. 2 years ago at this point. Well, like a year and some change. And I fell in love with that series just based off of that one game, because there's that fight in the game where you have to beat up a bunch of guys at a funeral. I should laugh about that, but it's just the Yakuza franchise as a whole is so head ass. I love it. I just love everything that these games, the silliness and how it doesn't take itself too seriously. And there's moments where it does take itself very seriously. Like, it'll connect you to a lot of these characters in a way that is very deep. Like, you're actually, going through the struggle with them. Yakuza 0 does a really good job of elevating its story in that sense. And then, of course, like having the really goofy moments as well. And getting to see the characters grow into who they are now, like Kiryu and Majima are the two main protagonists in this game. And, Majima and Kiryu are still there to the very end. I haven't gotten till, what's the new one that just came out? I know the pirate one came out, and the one before that, Infinite Wealth, I want to say. I am only up to Kiwami 2, but I know a little bit about what goes on in later games just because of people I'm friends with. But Yakuza as a franchise as a whole is just so good and so worth your time, where 0 is the definitive way to jump into the series. And it really does feel like they're going to kind of Kiwami all of the previous games as well. So I fully expect after Kiwami 3, there's probably going to be a Kiwami 4, then maybe a Kiwami 5, just to get people like caught up, so that way they can start putting the later entries, the ones with Ichiban as the main character on the Switch. Or they could just, randomly just drop 4, 5, and 6 and just say, here you go, and here's 7 and 8 as well. But number 9 on the list is Trails in the Sky First Chapter. This game caught me by surprise because I played Trails Through Daybreak. That was the first ever Trails game that I played. And I kind of hate beat that game because its story was so convoluted and confusing. But a lot of people were like, yeah, like if this is your first Trails game, you could absolutely jump into that one. And it's like when people say Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is going to be easy to follow as a first time Xenoblade fan. No. I should have waited on this one because this game, and then there's a million other Trails games as well. And I honestly, I started playing this and I'm roughly only about 30-ish hours in. I still got a long way to go. It's on the backlog. It shouldn't be on the backlog. It should be on the front log. But I would say it's one of the most enjoyable RPG experiences that I've had in a while so far. And while I'm gradually making my way through it, there's just been so many games to play in so little time. And some other things that were going to be a little bit quicker to get through, like Metroid Prime 4, of course. This is a game that I want to take my time with. And it is the perfect game to play on the treadmill. I'm hoping to have it finished before Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out, because juggling 2 RPGs, oh my gosh, you might as well juggle fire barehanded. That's pretty much what you're doing to yourself at that point. But definitely a game that should be on your radar. If it is not, definitely a game that you guys should check out. It's a game that, as an RPG fan and as a longtime Japanese RPG fan, I wanted to get into something that was easier to follow than Daybreak, and kind of sets me up for a number of other things afterwards. And I know there's the second chapter already confirmed to be coming out later this year, so I definitely got to get this finished before then, and yeah, go from there. All right, I'm kind of doing the thing that I said I didn't want to do in this video, which is just going through the list, but the games keep popping up on screen, so I'm like, oh man, I want to talk about it. Pokemon Legends ZA, not much needs to be said about this one. You either love it or you hate it. And I really like this game. I was a big Pokemon X and Y fan, so having Mega Evolution back was always something that I was looking forward to. And then I feel like this game is Yakuza Light, to be completely honest with you. Just with how many side quests you get to do, and then just how head-ass some of these side quests end up being. It really does feel like, the Pokemon devs were like, hey, people really like the Yakuza games. Let's just do that, but Pokemon, and add multiplayer with it. And the multiplayer kind of feels like a little battle royale style game. And I kind of like it more than traditional competitive Pokemon. I don't know. I mean, it just changes the formula in such a fun way, and it's just goofy just to go through and try to rack up as many points just by knocking out your opponent's Pokemon as possible, as fast as possible. So it's one of those that I keep going back to. I keep just wanting to play because I love shiny hunting in these games. I always got to make sure I get a shiny squad and shiny hunt all my favorite Pokemon, and I've done a really good job at my shiny hunts in this game so far. So that's why it keeps me hooked and keeps me going back to it. But I can understand why people have problems with it. I know we talked on the podcast a couple months ago about why I liked it versus why Carson didn't really like it. And he's the one who, loves Yakuza games. So, yeah, I feel like maybe if he went back to it and gave it a little bit more of a chance and actually kind of grind it through, he might enjoy it a little bit. But he also doesn't really like Pokemon all that much. Or he's not as big of a Pokemon person, I would say. But Pokemon Legends ZA, definitely up there for me. I think this game is another, solid 7, 8 out of 10 game. It's a lot of fun. There's enjoyment to be had in this game. The customization is really cool as well. Of course, a game where you can just drip out your character in different outfits and hairstyles and things like that. That's going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. And, I'm one of those people. I like to definitely, put some drip on my characters. But definitely check out Pokemon Legends ZA if you have not, and if you are a fan of monster catching games and Pokemon, I think it's really, it's really good, and it's really worth your time to get invested. It starts out kind of slow, which is weird because the last few Pokemon games are kind of just been go go go. This one having such a slow start, and I think that's just because it had a new battle system that it wanted to get players familiar with. It's the main reason why. But yeah, Pokemon Legends ZA, definitely give it a looky-loo. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's kind of talk about the hardware itself, and also Hyrule Warriors, because both of those things kind of go hand in hand. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity came out in 2020. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment came out in November of last year. And there is a lot of differences between those two games, while also feeling like, very samey, which a lot of Warriors games do. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment runs at 60 FPS on the Switch 2. And I want to say it's 720p, if not a little bit higher resolution, which so it's not a 4K game, which I believe they made some sacrifices, because to get it running at a smooth 60 FPS, you kind of have to make sacrifices. But it is a very pretty game, and I think that's just because the art style that they use from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is one of those art styles that's very timeless. So it doesn't need to look, it doesn't need to be 4K. Just because you want this style of game to have a buttery smooth frame rate, and you want this game to feel, good while you're playing it. And it is just one of those games that is a good feeling game. No matter what character you pick, you will have fun, and you will be able to dive in and say, okay, that game, it feels fresh. It doesn't feel laggy. It's responsive. I'm having a blast play it. All the characters feel so much better in this game versus the experience that you would have in Age of Calamity. Because Age of Calamity, when it first came out, while it's a fun game, it definitely had its frame rate issues and clipping issues and pop-in issues where you don't get that in this game whatsoever. It just feels so much more polished, and I think that's just because the hardware of the Switch 2 is so much more powerful than the Switch 1. Like, I know NVIDIA is kind of one of those companies where you hear their name and you want to groan a little bit, but they were, they're partnered with Nintendo on the Switch consoles. Like, they, made the chip for the Switch 1 and they made the chip for the Switch 2. But they were not kidding when they said this thing is, I can't remember if he said 10 times more powerful than the Switch 1 or 100 times more powerful than the Switch 1. I want to say it was probably 10. But it feels, when you're playing a game like this, it feels 100 times more powerful than the Switch 1. And I just think that's, so something to really think about going forward as we start to get bigger games, as we start to get more AAA third-party games. One of those games that I'm playing through right now is Assassin's Creed Shadows. And while that game, doesn't look as good as it does like on PC or other consoles like PS5 Pro, it still looks very good on the Switch, and it still plays very good as well. And it's not a cloud game, which in the past, if they wanted that game on Switch, that would have had to have been a cloud game. It would have had to have been one of those games that you're playing through and your Wi-Fi might be lagging. Well, you might not be able to play the game. But I'm having a good time playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, knowing that I can play it on a handheld. Freaking phenomenal. Spoilers, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not on the list. I thought about throwing it on the list, but I started playing it a little bit too late when I was in production of this video. So, it's probably top 16 game. I do think it's a little bit better than Star Wars Outlaws, but it was just something about Outlaws and like seeing like how far that game has come and seeing the impact that it's having on the Switch 2 right now is why it made it to the list and why Assassin's Creed Shadows didn't. But I might do a separate video about Shadows, even though it's featured as the Mayhem game of the week, this past week. But going back to the hardware of the Switch 2, this thing having the power that it does in this handheld box, which for all this video is dock footage, which I do play a lot of. I play a lot of both. I play a lot of docked and handheld. I would say in moments that I'm on the go, which is a lot of times. Probably do spend more time in handheld mode. But also, I play a lot in dock mode as well. Like there's times where I'm like, you know what, I just want to be at home and chill with the homies and hop online and play some Wild Hearts S or some Mario Kart and play in dock mode on, because I have a pretty nice OLED TV and I'm going to utilize that thing to its capabilities. So yeah, I am very happy and very pleased with the power of this console and being able to have these, new gen experiences. Sorry, I'm rambling right now, but I'm trying to get my thought across and it just wasn't computing very well. But being able to have these experiences on this device as a, console gamer and Nintendo gamer who doesn't feel a need to go out and purchase more than one ecosystem, I think it's grandiose, and I'm very grateful for that and very happy about the future of this console generation, which that kind of ties into a lot of the support that this console is going to be getting. We already see like how Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to run, and while it's 30 frames per second, look at how that game looks and how it performs and how smooth it is, and just everything that Square has showed off, which I believe that's going to give the Final Fantasy VII Remake series the resurgence that Square is kind of like hoping that it gets by them bringing it over to Switch 2. And while the game sold, decently on PlayStation, I really do think, 7 Remake and 7 Rebirth, because they did confirm that Rebirth is coming as well, are going to, find a new audience and a new home, and it's going to make a lot of people happy, and it's going to, perform very well, and word of mouth is going to catch up, and people are going to look at that as my preferred way to play those games, whether it's 30 frames per second or not, just because it looks and feels so good to play on the Switch 2. I played the demo of 7 Remake, and I was impressed because I have been wanting to play that game for a little while now, and it had an opportunity to play it on PlayStation, but ultimately skipped out just because I had so much other things to play, and I didn't want to bombard my roommate and be like, yo, can I hog your PlayStation and play these games for a little bit, which I'm pretty sure he would have been fine with, but at the same time I just knew I had other things going on, so I wanted to focus on those things first. But now that I'm actually able to set in and play these games and play 7 Remake, and then eventually probably later this year is when I think Rebirth is going to come out, play that as well. And of course some of these other experiences like Kiwami 3 that I'm really looking forward to, and then Monster Hunter Stories 3, and I'm still on the fence about Resident Evil Requiem. Resident Evil 4 is all-time game for me. I love Resident Evil 4. I'm just not a big fan of horror games. I don't really think Resident Evil 4 it's a horror game for sure, but it's so goofy and it retains a lot of that goofiness. And I think that's just because of the time that it came out, where Resident Evil now takes itself way more seriously. And I didn't really, I got over 8 being, a horror game as well, because everybody was just horny for the main antagonist in that game. And I was able to play that and not really be spooked whenever she would appear on screen, and just be like, oh yeah, everybody just wants her to step on them, and I can definitely see why. So this one, Requiem, just looks scary, and even though it has Leon in it, I'm I don't know, I want to play it, and I feel like I'm probably gonna get sucked into picking it up. One, because of the conversations around it, and 2, I gotta see how this thing is doing on the Switch 2. I gotta see, because it looks like it's running at 60 frames per second. If Capcom's able to get that out, it's gonna be really curious to see what they do with Monster Hunter Wilds when that comes to Switch 2. But yeah, that the future I think is really bright for this console, and I think there's gonna be so much more to look forward to. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of game announcements, and by the time we get to that February Nintendo Direct, we're going to just know what this year really has lined up. I don't want to get into like my predictions on what that direct is going to be, because me and Zach actually have a video where we're going to be going over that here in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. But as far as like the first real 6 months of this console, exceeded expectations. I was not expecting, to be able to play all these games that I've been able to play and have the enjoyment that I've been able to have. And of course, like, I had a very similar experience with the Switch One. I think it was a little bit more because Breath of the Wild was just such a groundbreaking, revolutionary game, and that I remember exactly where I was at, what I was doing, and who I was with during, watching that first Nintendo presentation that they had for the OG Switch. And then, of course, going, to work to pick up my Switch 2, because I was working at Best Buy at the time. Or not my Switch 2, my Switch 1. And I went all out because I had faith at that, idea of being able to dock my console, but also take it with me if I wanted to go travel somewhere, or, take it with me. Nowadays, I love to tell this story because I actually went through a massive fit journey. Yeah. Weight loss journey. If you know me, I always tell people one of the things that really like got my body moving was, of course, the concept of Ring Fit Adventure. I didn't own it at the time where I really started to hone in on my fitness journey, but buying that game kind of catapulted where I wanted to be at with my fitness. And then I was playing Pokemon. It was one of the Pokemon games, and I'm like, I gotta force myself to really get through this game. I think it was Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, whichever one I have. I think I have Shining Pearl because Palkia is the OG. But I was playing that and some other RPGs as well, and I would just pop it up on the little tray on the bike or on the treadmill, and I'd get my 10K steps in, and I do my 4 miles on the bike. But that entire time, I'm just in the game, and an hour, 30 minutes, whatever later, I'm like, oh, I just got through like a massive chunk of this game that I'm playing just because I decided to bring it with me to the gym. And it made wanting to be in the gym a lot easier, and made working out a lot easier for me as well. And to anybody I say that struggles with weight loss or like staying consistent on the fitness journey, the Switch has, tremendously helped me with that. And even now, like, I still take my Switch with me to the gym, and I'll still, want to play like a RPG or like a longer game. I actually was playing Metroid Prime 4 on the treadmill for a little bit, but there's some sections that you don't really want to be on the treadmill moving around when you're playing that game. Like, it might give your brain some weird signals, and you could potentially fall off. So, of course, if it's for you, I highly recommend it. Some people can lock in on the treadmill and just, be on that thing for hours at a time and not focus too much on the world around them. But I need something to like shift my brain off of the fact of, hey, I'm doing cardio in a not so fun way. Of course, a lot of my cardio nowadays comes from like basketball and being outdoors and things like that. But still, at the time, in the winter season, like now, when I'm in the gym on the treadmill, that's actually going to be how I play Trails Through the Sky first chapter. Is a lot of that is going to be while walking. So highly recommend it for that aspect, to kind of like kickstart a fitness journey. I'm actually in a group chat with some people, and one of the guys in there posted recently about, hey, like, the Switch has helped me lose 40 pounds so far just because I'm able to walk and play. And I'm like, dude, I love that for you. That warms my heart. So it's got its benefits for that, use case as well. And I always will speak to this because I do believe video games, art in general, not only video games, but music, movies, however you find, getting into somebody else's creations and somebody else's art, and if those things speak to you, those things do have the power to heal. And I do believe video games is one of those things where I was going through a lot of depression when Breath of the Wild came out, to like kind of like go back to that a little bit, and playing through Breath of the Wild for the month that it took me to like get from start to finish to that game, I went into probably one of the best spring summer seasons of my entire 20s at that time, after playing that game. And that's because I do believe healing power is real in video games. So the Switch to me has been something that, no matter how negative the conversation gets, I always look for those positives in the enjoyment that I've like had with this thing. But yeah, let's talk some more about the software, and the software of 2025, because this is a top 15 video, by the way. But I know I said I wanted to approach the conversation a little bit differently. And I didn't really talk about Metroid Prime 4, but a lot of people are torn on Metroid Prime 4. A lot of people either really like it, or it just did not live up to expectations for a lot of people. And I think after understanding the development cycle of this game and where it was at from start to finish, I'm a little bit more graceful towards it at this point. I do enjoy the crap out of Metroid Prime 4, and I do think it is a game worth your time and worth a pickup if you like action games and if you like first person adventure games. It's not necessarily a first person shooter. It has shooting element. It's kind of a first person shooter, but when I think first person shooter, I just think run and gun, Call of Duty, Wolfenstein, Doom, things like that. I don't necessarily put Metroid Prime in that category. I put Metroid Prime in that first person action adventure category, kind of like Skyrim, to be completely honest with you, just without the RPG elements. But to me, Metroid Prime 4 was a solid 8 out of 10. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Highly recommend, if you want your own opinion about it, play it, see for yourself, see if it's a game that you can resonate with. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a very good game. Kirby Air Riders, however, still, there's times where I'm like 30 minutes here and there that I just jump into Kirby Air Riders and I just have a grandiose time playing that game. And I think it's a game that absolutely, when you go pick up your Switch 2, and if you got, the ability to pick up one or two, 5 or 6 games, Kirby Air Riders should definitely be on the top of your list. It's racing meets Smash Brothers in a very fun way with Kirby characters, because it is just fast paced. The action, the menus, of course, like Sakurai games, like it's a Sakurai game when you get into the game and see the menu screen. And the music, of course, is just all there. It's all Kirby. I freaking love that game. I was playing it a couple nights ago with some buddies. I got my little brother into it because he wasn't like too keen on it. He's not like a big Kirby head, and I wasn't really either for the most part. Like, I played them here and there, and I played some of the ones on 3DS, and then I got Forgotten Land, and that's when I really started getting into the Kirby franchise. So I wanted to go backwards and play Return to Dreamland, and when that came to Switch. And I played Star Allies, which Star Allies is fine, but Kirby Air Riders, man, one of the best games of 2025, if you ask me. And it's got enough content there where it doesn't need DLC, and it can feel fun and fresh for years to come. I still have not unlocked all the Leo or Dragoon parts in this game, even while playing online. And I'm just like, how are people getting these? I guess I must be that bad. Yakuza Kiwami 2, one of my favorite games last year. I know it's a little bit of an older title, but it's fresh on Nintendo hardware. And I know earlier in the video I spoke about being excited for Kiwami 3, which I'm really looking forward to. Just more Yakuza in general. Hopefully, I don't know the direction that they want to. It seems like they're going to Kiwami all of the ones that have not had the Kiwami treatment yet. So 4, 5, and 6 will probably get Kiwami treatment. And I could see Kiwami 3, comes out next month. I could see a situation where we get into later in the year, probably around the fall time, where they do another one. It seems like they're, not opposed to pumping out so many Yakuza games, because last year we had Zero Director's Cut, and then within, a few months, they were like, hey, Kiwami 1 and 2 are coming to Switch 2. And I was like, oh, okay, that is getting us all caught up. So at this point, I've already played 3 Yakuza games, and now there's going to be a 4th one in Kiwami 3 coming out here pretty soon. And then Kiwami 2 just changed up the combat. It's so well done, and it's so fluid and feels so fresh in this game, and I absolutely adore it. The ability to be in a combo, it's a beat 'em up for sure. It's 100% a game that is a beat 'em up. And sorry for my voice in this video, guys. Like I explained earlier, that I've been sick, and yes, every once in a while I just gotta like clear it all out. So I apologize for that. But to speak on Kiwami 2, man, oh man, this game is just so fun. One of my favorite combos is you'll juggle a guy and you can grab him by his ankle, spin him around and throw him into either a building or a crowd of other guys that you're beating up as well. And I've been having so much fun doing stuff like that. And the story of the Yakuza games, they're kind of like Avengers movies where it doesn't take itself too seriously, but then they have those serious moments. And yeah, in those serious moments, you might shed a couple of tears, and you might clap because the story is just carrying you through so far, and it's a good time. I highly recommend Kiwami 1, 2, and 0. I know 0 was on this list as well. I didn't put Kiwami 1 on this list because that game came out in 2024 for this OG Switch, but it did get 4K 60 on Switch 2, which is really nice. It might be 1080p 60. Somebody can correct me on that. But we're getting close to the end. I just wanted to say thank you guys all for, staying with me watching. And let's talk a little bit about Hades 2, because I was originally not going to buy this game. And then in that September Direct, that trailer, it was just so well done. I'm like, all right, this game kind of looks sick. Let me see what Hades is about. So I purchased Hades 1 because it was on sale for like $7. And I was like, all right, I want to play this and get into Hades 2. And I actually started playing Hades 2 first. And then Zach was like, dude, go back and play Hades 1. Just go play Hades 1 and then get into Hades 2. So I did that. And I still dabble in Hades 2 a lot here and there because those runs are so fantastic. And just every time that you have to start over and you get presented with new items, I love games like that because it just brings back that arcadey feel of going to the arcade and experiencing something different when you play these games. And the level of dialogue they put in this game, where everybody has a voice actor, every line is voice acted, and there's so many different lines that you get to interact with and you get to hear. Like, you'll hear something completely new every time, and I'm just like, that is so cool to me that this indie studio, Supergiant, was able to make a game of this caliber and this level. And it really makes me excited for what they do next. I don't know if I necessarily need Hades 3 next, because it kind of seems like threequels aren't really like a big thing in gaming these days. But I'm all on board for whatever Supergiant has next, and it makes me want to like go back in time and play some of their older games as well, which I will probably end up doing because I know most of them are all on the Switch. But Hades 2 is definitely my second favorite game of 2025, and it's probably going to be a favorite of mine for a long time to come. I'm going to have to go update my top 50 list now because there was so much in 2025 that it just really hit home for me and that I got so excited about and I've had so much fun with. And the number one game on this list, guys, is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza is still a game that ending was rent-free in my head. And I can only speak to a few games that have been able to do that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which the original name of my channel was jtscorecrystal because of the Xenoblade series. But I was like, you know what? Like, the podcast is called Monday Night Mayhem, and I kind of want everything to be centered around mayhem on this channel. But Donkey Kong Bonanza's ending, man. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys if you haven't played it, because I'm still trying to get Carson and Zach to get through this game as well. Eventually, because I know Brett likes Donkey Kong games, if we can find a way to get him a Switch 2 here in the future, I got to have him sit down and play this game and experience that ending as well. But holy crap, what a game. That, entire, formula of going through these layers and interacting with so many new characters and having Donkey Kong turn into something like a zebra. I didn't know how I felt about it when they originally showed it off, and then I played it and I was like, all right, this absolutely slaps. I am 100% here for it. And then Pauline's voice actor freaking killed it. She was amazing in this game. And it's just one of those games that I feel like is going to be timeless for such a long time to come. And that's because of the gameplay, the art style, the music, everything that Nintendo did with this game. 10 out of 10. One of my favorite games of 2025. Probably going to be one of my favorite games of all time. I like it a little bit better than Mario Odyssey. I know a lot of people like to compare, but I think you can't really compare because Donkey Kong Bonanza feels like a Donkey Kong game where Mario feels like a Mario game. And the platforming is so different and the actions are so different. And both of those games, probably when we get to the end of the Switch 2 generation, and we look at everything that came out on Switch 1 and Switch 2, and we go back and look at Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is a fantastic game. Highly recommend anybody go play it. The ending didn't quite, I won't say it didn't do it for me. The ending was fine in that game. It didn't have that massive swerve that Donkey Kong Bonanza gets. But man, oh man, I love both of those games. I love Donkey Kong Bonanza a little bit more just because it speaks to me as a person and like what I want in a video game a little bit more, where it does combine. It's action adventure. When you think action adventure game, you think Donkey Kong Bonanza. You think Sonic Adventure 2. When I think platforming game, I think Mario Odyssey. And I definitely am a bigger fan of games that are action adventure adjacent and just have that appeal to them more so than platforming games. I love platformers, don't get me wrong, but I'm a big action adventure junkie. And, that's the sword is going in the ground on that, where I think action adventure is kind of like the number one genre, probably followed by JRPG for me, and then just straight action games like Bayonetta. Hopefully we get a Bayonetta 4 on Switch too. That'd be freaking amazing. But that's my top 15 games of 2025. Also some rambling about just how I feel about the Switch 2 in general. I do think there are improvements that could be made as well. I don't really see the ghosting effect in the screen that people were talking about. I honestly went to go look for it and I could not see what people are talking about. So hopefully they get that improved for everybody who can see it. For me, it's a non-issue. I do think, having an OLED display, because the Switch OLED is just such a fantastic looking device. Maybe one day we get to a Switch 2 OLED, or maybe somebody already out there has put an OLED panel on their Switch 2. Yeah, because I know people were doing that with their Switch lights, but I do think that will improve things, as far as the screen quality and display going from LED or LCD to OLED. Yeah, I do think the Switch 2 LCD panel looks fantastic. I don't think a lot of people would be able to tell a difference if they never had the Switch 2 OLED, or if you're not hardcore looking for it, because when I'm playing, in handheld mode and I'm enjoying a lot of these bright, colorful games, and I'm just in the flow state of experiencing what's happening, I can't really tell the difference between this and an OLED panel, unless it's my monitor or my TV, which those are just strictly OLED panel devices, so they're made for that. But hopefully, there's improvements that come to game chat. I haven't used it too much because all of my homies are still on Discord, but I'm pretty sure we would use game chat if it was just more intuitive and easier to navigate. It's not necessarily bad or hard to navigate, it's just laggy. So hopefully that comes. And then also, software. I expect year 2 to be a big year for software, not only from third parties, but Nintendo as well. And I, am here for it. And I just hope that we can end the year saying, oh man, Switch 2's year 1 and year 2, while year 1 wasn't, Switch 1 year 1, Switch 2 year 2 lived up and really got people engaged and got people talking about the software. And I think that's where things come down to, is you got to have, compelling, good software in order to sell your box. And that's where we're at. But yeah, this has been my top 15 of 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned into the channel. Like I said, I'm going to be more consistent with making content. Boss Battle Fridays will be back, and some more cool stuff as well as we head into the next 6 months of the Switch 2, and then 6 months after that as we are into year 2. Until then, folks, Stay safe out there. Remember to brush your teeth, eat your vegetables, and tell somebody you love them. Until then, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.